Casey Anthony is the mother of the 2-year-old Kaylee Anthony. She's charged with the first-degree murder of her own daughter. Casey is accused of waiting a month before actually reporting Kaylee missing. Then detectives say she claimed her toddler was kidnapped by a babysitter. Finally, in December of 2008, Kaylee's body was found buried near their Orlando home.
We have team coverage of this high-profile jury selection. 10 News reporter Melanie Michael just stepped out of the courtroom where she's been monitoring jury selection since it began.
And 10 News reporter Grayson Comm is with hundreds of reporters and photographers covering the jury selection. We
begin with Melanie. And Mel, it sounds like this is going to be a long process.
It certainly is, guys. Good afternoon to you both. You know, this has certainly been an interesting day because we know the nature of this trial and how much attention it's gotten. Legal analysts are calling this the OJ of this generation because of all of the media attention. And that's one of the reasons, really, it's so hard to pick a jury in this case, because Orange County has been saturated by media coverage. So they had to come from here in Pinellas County to pick the jury simply because so many people knew about it in Orange County. They're hoping that possibly they can get a jury that's a bit more fair or fairer right here in the Bay Area. And you know, I've been in there all morning long, and I have to tell you that it is so tight in there, and there are so many reporters. We are literally sitting shoulder to shoulder in the back of the room. There are 110 jurors that have been placed in the room this morning, and what they're doing is they're taking 45 jurors out of that group of potentials, and they're taking them to a room and sort of sequestering them, and then one by one they're pulling them out and beginning to ask them questions. And they have to go through 3 categories of hardships. They have to talk about the hardship of this. It would be on their life going away for a trial of this time, which is about 2 months. They're talking about the media exposure that they've been, given and that they've seen on the news, which we know that has been extremely huge. And then the death qualification. Would somebody actually put Casey Anthony to death? And the judge warned the potential jurors of talking about this case with anyone else.
This includes reading newspapers, watching television accounts, using a computer, cell phone, the internet, or any electronic device or any other means at all to get information related to this case.
And back here live at the courthouse, you know, those are pretty specific instructions in this day and age of just media saturation where people can communicate pretty much any way they want. He's very specific about those 110 jurors, potential jurors we should say, that are in there right now. Absolutely do not talk among themselves, do not talk about the case. Even when they go home tonight, they're not even allowed to talk with their family members. Again, 45 of those will be brought to a room where the grand jury usually meets, and then one of them will be brought out individually so as not to taint any of the other potential jury members. Now, this could go on, guys, a trial for 6 to 8 weeks. It will be a very long experience, costing about $300,000 in Orange County to sequester all of these jurors. So it will be very busy. And again, a busy day. This judge is one of those no-nonsense judges. He is from Orange County, brought over here, and he's the kind of guy who will get through 110 jurors today. He says he wants to do that. He's the kind of guy that says there's no nonsense about this case. We're getting down to business, and we're trying Casey Anthony for first-degree murder. I'll be here throughout the trial. I'm going back in the courtroom in a few minutes, and I'll see you again for live reports coming up at 5 and 6. For now, I'm Melanie Michael reporting live, 10 News.
All right, Melanie, to be clear here, out of the 110 that they have today, 45 potential jurors will be taken from that. Will there be another group of 110 tomorrow, or are they just going to proceed with the 45 they have?
No, they'll keep picking and picking and picking until they narrow it down. I mean, again, they have to go through that level of 3 levels, rather, to get to those jurors. We have to talk about the hardships. We have to talk about the media exposure. We have to talk about whether or not somebody could actually give Casey Anthony the death penalty. So you have 110, then you go down to 45, and the numbers just keep whittling and whittling and whittling. And you can imagine, guys, how hard that's going to be to get some people who don't know about the case, who would put her to death, and it wouldn't be a hardship on them for them to leave their jobs and their families for 2 months. So it's going to be a long week.
Seems like a needle in a haystack. Thank you, Melanie. We'll let you get back inside the courtroom now. And outside the courtroom, more than a dozen media organizations from around the state and country set up camp this morning. You saw Melanie kind of holding her ear as if it was very loud, as a lot of news reporters are doing their new news reports right now. Sky 10 flew over the courthouse this morning. And, you know, rumors that jury selection would take place in Pinellas County were swirling all weekend long. But the judge didn't make the official announcement until 6 this morning, so that TV stations stations and newspapers wouldn't spend days and days running stories about the details of the case.
And our team coverage continues with 10 News reporter Grayson Comm, who brought you to the official Pinellas County announcement as it happened live on the morning show here on 10 News. So Grayson, journalists, I felt like everybody was scrambling to get there, particularly the stations who were from out of town.
Yeah, Keith, some of the journalists who were trying to come here really rushed here, dashed here right after that 6 a.m. announcement. Others, particularly folks from the Orlando area, which is where the rest of the trial will be held after this jury selection, a lot of them were already here in advance. Word got out over the weekend that Pinellas was a likely location for this trial to begin. Now, other TV crews set up at courthouses in other cities in Florida, including, for example, Duval County in Jacksonville. But the call came down that Clearwater's Pinellas County Criminal Justice Center would host the first few days of this attention-getting trial before it moves to Orange County. Now, why here? Some key features of this courthouse. It's a modern one, opened just 15 years ago with a spacious courtroom 1 that can seat 150 potential jurors and reporters. There's a setup for what we call a pool video feed, where a few cameras in the courtroom can be fed out to lots of media outside. And the jail is right behind the courthouse. There's a secure corridor that links the jail and the courthouse, so inmates never have to get in a vehicle or leave the secure area to go from their cell to the courtroom. Now, court spokesman based here in Pinellas County said that this judge, Belvin Perry, has tried a case here in Pinellas County once before, even though he serves the Orlando area and Orange County. And there is a precedent for this whole situation. For the murder trial of Oba Chandler back in 1994, a jury was picked in Orlando and bused here to Pinellas County to hear that case. It's the reverse of what they're doing now. That case, the Oba Chandler case, was the first time a jury swap like this had ever been done in the history of the state of Florida. Live in Clearwater, Grayson Comm, 10 News.